we wanted to walk through character creation and kind of give you a nice little test of how that works. We're not going to walk through absolutely everything with character creation, but we did want to show you how to make essentially two characters. So I think Dr. J over here, he's going to be starting us off by making a Jack McPumpkins style character.
All right, so let's make Jack McPumpkins. So
All right.
I'm going to add myself a Dr. J's Jack McPumpkins. This is an all players. Save. I hit the wrong button. I'm really good at this, I promise. Show to players. So you might be able to see that now. So
yeah, I can
Jack
see it. You got it.
McPumpkins. Now I want to pop this out so I have a big view here. So Jack McPumpkins is a ghoul. So when you do character creation, if you're following along in your core rulebook, this is page 50. When you create your character, you'll be asked to make a number of choices on their origin, special attributes, skills, perks, and then determine their derived statistics. And choice 1 is to choose our origin. So the core origins that we have available are Brotherhood of Steel, so that's like your Lonnie Haybear, a ghoul, a super mutant, Mr. Handy, a survivor, and that's going to be your Clark, your Pep, and your Hazel, and a Vault Dweller. So back in the day, that was like your Buck character. So Jack McPumpkins is going to be a ghoul. So that is where we're going to start. Now, if we go to page 52 of our core rulebook, every origin has their own trait. And I realized that I can't do it like this if I'm going to drag stuff over. So we have our own traits here. Now, ghouls have the trait necrotic post-human. You are immune to radiation damage. In fact, you're healed by it. You regain 1 hit point for every 3 points of radiation damage inflicted upon you. And if you rest in an irradiated location, you may re-roll your dice pool when checking if your injuries heal. In addition, survival becomes a tag skill, increasing it by 2 ranks. So we're using roll 20 right now. I should be able to take necrotic post-human and add that as one of my traits right here. So necrotic post-human is going to give me a tag skill. So if I go to my core sheet, which has all these different skills, I can go ahead and tag my survival and give it 2 points, because that's what a tag does. It increases the rank by 2 points. So that's kind of the basics of what I get for being a ghoul. The different origins will have different bonuses, but this is just kind of what I start off with right now. Now, step 2 is going to be increasing my special. Now, this is discussed on page 58. So at the beginning of creating your character, every special attribute starts with a rank of 5. So I'm going to go ahead, increase all of these to 5 for now. So I'm an average Jack McPumpkins at the moment. You have 5 points to spend to increase your attributes, and each point spent increases a single attribute by 1. Use these points to buy ranks in any special attribute. No attribute may be increased above 10, although your origin may alter this maximum for some attributes. You can reduce a special to 4 to gain an additional point towards your special. So we're looking at Jack McPumpkins. What is Jack McPumpkins good at? Well, let's see, Dave. What is Jack McPumpkins good at? Do you find Jack McPumpkins to be charismatic?
find him to be charismatic. Yeah, I would think that he would be a charismatic kind of guy. And with a name like with a name like Jack McPumpkins.
So maybe I put 2 points into charisma right now. Leaves me with 3. Now Jack is one of the guards for the voodoos. So he's probably got to be good with guns. So I'm going to give him a point in agility. Actually, I give him 2 points in agility, and that leaves me with 1 point right here. And let's see here. I also want to give him a point in perception, because there's some of the skills that rely on perception that I kind of want him to be good at. So I've assigned my 5 special points right now, and I can determine whether or not I want to reduce any of those 5s to give myself some additional points. So do I want to reduce strength? Do I want to reduce endurance, intelligence, luck? Let's see. I don't know if Jack is the most bright individual.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he's very smart.
Okay, so I'm going to drop his intelligence to 4. That gives me another point to play with, and that's also the minimum that I'm allowed to use my intelligence. So where would I put that point? Well, maybe he's lucky, because for him to have gotten a job with the Voodoos, that seems like a little bit of luck may have been involved for that. And just looking at my character sheet right now, I think I'm happy with what I've got. So right now, my special is Strength 5, Perception 6, Endurance 5, Charisma 7, Intelligence 4, Agility 7, and Luck 6. So if you add all of these up, it should be 40, 11, 16, 23, 33, and 40. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the core rule book has some suggestions for what you can do during character building. There is a balanced approach where everything sort of hovers around that 5 range. There's a focused approach where one of your primary stats is an 8, and there's even a specialized approach where one of your stats is a 9. And you could go even harder than that if you wanted to. You could have a 10 in strength and a 5 in everything else if you really felt like it, if that's how you wanted to specialize your character. So I'm happy with my character right here. I see that I have a good charisma and a good agility. So that's something I may want to consider when I'm picking skills. Now, at the bottom of page 58, we go to step 3, which is our tag skills, and then we buy our skill ranks. We're going to choose 3 skills to be tag skills. Tag skills are the most important skills to your character and represent specific areas of expertise and knowledge that your character possesses. Your origin may grant you an additional tag skill, and our origin did grant us an additional tag skill. We got that in survival, so we don't have to do. So that decision's made for us. We have 3 additional tag skills we want to make. Now, tag skills are important because when you roll your 2d20, normally you crit on a 1. So if you roll a 1, you get 2 successes. Now, at the moment, if Jack McPumpkins were to make a survival roll and he got a 2 or better, that would be 2 successes. Now, skills can have a maximum rank of 6, which means if eventually Jack McPumpkins had a survival of 6 ranks and it was tagged, he would get 2 successes on a 6 or better, which means a 30% chance on each d20, which is pretty significant. So imagine that on, a skill like small guns or energy weapons or some of your combat skills. This is what we were talking about earlier, where you could crank up your skills to the point where each time you roll a d20, you've got an 80% chance of getting a success and a 30% chance, or 80% of getting at least 1 success and a 30% chance of getting 2 successes on each d20. That is pretty significant, all things considered. So now we kind of talked about the ramifications, let's pick some tag skills. So each of our tag skills begins at rank 2 and all the others begin at rank 0. So let's pick tag skills. Well, we know that he's got a good agility. And if we look at agility, small guns, sneak, throwing, we probably want to get small guns in there just because we know that he's a member of the Voodoos. He's going to be expected to be a guard and handle guns. We can go ahead and give him small guns in rank 2. Dave, were you going to say something?
No, I agree. I'm with you
Okay.
on the small guns
Cool.
situation.
Yes. Now we
I'm
also
following
know.
along in my book like a good little boy.
Oh, cool. Excellent. Now, we also know that Jack McPumpkins is a car aficionado. Somehow. That
He
fact
is.
was interjected. So I'm going to give him the pilot skill and bring that up 2 ranks as well, because that's something that he's passionate about, he's interested in. So he's just got that. Now we have one more tag skill. What would be important to Jack McPumpkins? Well, we know that he's got a high charisma. So let's take a look at some of our charisma stuff. So there's barter and there's speech. So maybe let's use barter. Maybe Jack McPumpkins is really good at getting a good deal. But before the preservationists had their social income system, he was really good at saving caps. He wants to retire early. That was his goal. But even with the caps, the social cap system, he was able to get some pretty good bargains, maybe get some stuff that was perhaps outside of what he should have been allowed to get. So we're going to give him barter there. Now, when we're rolling our dice now, just to be sure here, when we roll barter, we're going to add our charisma, which is 7, plus our ranks in barter, which is 2. So our target number would be 9. And the GM would set the difficulty as like, how many successes do we need? Do we need 0 successes, 1 success, 2 successes? And we're looking for 9s or better on our dice, which is about a 45% chance on each die. So points. So for difficulty 1 on a barter check, you're looking at about a 70% success rate. Well, just doing the rough math in my head, which is pretty good compared to, say, like athletics, where it's not tagged and it's a strength based. So you're looking at, a 50% chance of success on that particular roll if you're rolling 2 dice. So, these are where these numbers are important and why I might be choosing tag skills that go along with some of these attributes that I pumped up as well. Or you might go the opposite direction. I know that the book says do your special first, then your tag skills, but as you get more comfortable with character building, you might want to tag your skills and then pick attributes accordingly, just depending on what your style is. So now that I've picked my tag skills, I can now buy ranks in my other skills. I have a total number of skill points equal to 9 plus my intelligence, and each skill point may be spent to buy 1 rank in any skill. During character creation, I cannot increase any skill to a rank above 3 unless I'm creating a character of level 3 or above. So this is a level 1 Jack McPumpkin. So I get 9 skill points plus my intelligence, which, oops, I tanked that a little bit. So I've got 13 skill points. And that's something to consider too, because if you want to be pretty skillful, you may want to consider upping that intelligence a little bit, because at the very beginning, you're going to end up with a few more ranks to be able to put into skills. But right now, I've got 13 to play with. So I'm going to do 1 in small guns. That brings me to 12. Let's see. Speech. I'm going to put 2. That brings me to 10. I'm going to make him sneaky. That brings me to 8. I'm going to give him a point in melee. That's 7. Unarmed is 6. Throwing is 5. Athletics is 4. Energy weapons is 2. Explosives 1. And then maybe we give them an additional point in survival. That is my skill points. So now we've created a character whose main skills are in piloting, small guns, survival, and barter. He's good with energy weapons because he's lived in a city that's been near the Brotherhood of Steel. So maybe not his preferred weapon, but he has some experience with energy weapons because of them. Is good at sneaking around and speaking because this is a very social city and he's been called upon to keep the peace a lot. So perhaps he's good at stopping conflicts before they become, bloody. Good at sneaking around because the voodoos do some nefarious things on the side, but also a few skills in, athletics because you've got to be in pretty decent shape to be a voodoo. Some experience with melee weapons and explosives, just because of the work that the voodoos do, and as well as some throwing and unarmed. So, Jack McPumpkins is probably good in any type of combat situation, is pretty adaptable, but definitely prefers to have a small gun on them. And that's sort of what the skills tell me here. So, what do you think so far, Dave?
I think Jack McPumpkins looks like he's very formidable for his job and for what he does. I think that he matches the mind's eye of Jack McPumpkins.
Okay. So step 4 is that we choose our first perk. Now, perks, if you're familiar with the Fallout games, they're pretty robust and there's a lot of them, and the tabletop RPG is no exception. Now, a lot of the perks are going to have some requirements that will modify whether or not they qualify for them. So I'm looking at the first page, for example. The first page of perks is on page 59 if you're following along. I'm looking at adamantium skeleton. It requires an endurance of 7. I only have an endurance of 5, or Jack McPumpkins only has an endurance of 5. So I could not take adamantium skeleton right now because I would have to do something to pump that number up. So let's see what I am compatible with. I could get animal friend. So I could potentially make animals not attack me. I could get Aqua Boy or Aqua Girl. That's what Lonnie Haybear took first level. Let's see. Where Barbarian, Basher. Nope. Going through here real quick. I could get Lady Killer. I could get Bloody Mess. So when I inflict a critical hit, if I roll an effect on a combat die, I inflict 1 additional injury to a random location. So if I'm rolling big damage, that might be good because I can do more criticals. I can scavenge more food. I can collect more caps. Let's see here. Center mass. When you make a ranged attack, you may choose to strike your target's torso without increasing the difficulty of the attack. In addition, you may reroll 1d20 when making the test for your attack. You know what? I kind of like that. So I'm going to take center mass. I'm going to read that a bit more thoroughly here for everyone. So center mass. When you make a ranged attack, you may choose to strike your target's torso location or equivalent for creatures that use different location without increasing the difficulty of the attack. So we talked about hit locations a little bit earlier. And the way this works is that if you want to do a called shot, if you want to hit something specific, it increases the difficulty by 1. And what center mass does is it says you can hit the torso for free. If you don't want it to be random, you can just hit the torso for free, and we can take a look at the ramifications for that. But in addition, you may re-roll 1d20 when making the test for your attack, which means that if I choose to hit the torso, which we talked about power armor is sort of some of the thickest armor and stuff, but this also lets me re-roll a d20 when making that test, which means I have potential to turn a failure into a success. I have the potential to turn a success into additional AP. So this sounds like something where Jack McPumpkins got a more, traditional training with training targets. Just shoot center mass. Don't go for the headshot. Don't go for the limbs. Go for the biggest part to try to subdue someone, and then we'll fix them later. So I kind of like this perk for him. So this is a combat related perk. There are a lot of perks that are not combat related. They might have to do with social situations or story situations, anything. Or some are like with Kim's. One gives you dog meat, which is something that Jack McPumpkins could potentially get too. He could have his own dog. But we're going to stick with this. I think we'll stick with center mass. Now I have to scroll through all of these perks to get to step 5, which is our derived stats. Now, derived stats are based on what your special points are. So you don't put points in your derived stats, they're already calculated for you. So the first is carry weight. So your carry weight is 150 pounds plus your strength times 10. So my strength is 5. 5 times 10 is 50. 150 plus 50 is a 200-pound carry weight. There are perks that affect how much you can carry. Base damage resistance. All of your damage resistances start at 0. If you take certain perks and certain armor, that will adjust your damage resistance. So there's like one perk that makes you a little bit more impervious to poison, for example. So you can stave off the effects of poison if you so desire. Next is defense. So your defense statistic is the basic difficulty of any attacks made against you. It's based off of your agility attribute. So if my agility is 8 or less, my defense is 1. If my agility is 9 or higher, my defense is 2. Maybe I want to make an adjustment. Like maybe... Oh, it needs to be 9 or higher. It's at 7. So maybe I don't want to make an adjustment. That would be a pretty big investment there. If I had an agility of 8, I'd probably consider making an adjustment to get it to 9 to get that defense bump. So I'm not going to do that, but something to consider. Like some of these adjustments can be made while you're doing character creation, but I'm not going to do that. Initiative is my perception plus agility. So, like Dave said earlier, this is a static number. You don't roll it. So, perception of 6 and agility of 7. I've got an initiative of 13. So, if you wanted someone that acted in combat first all the time, you could pump up the agility and perception, which are good for a lot of your combat abilities to begin with. And that would be a way to do it. Health points are your endurance plus luck. My endurance is 5. My luck is 6. Brings my max hit points to 11. And then melee damage, depending on my strength, you can have a melee bonus to damage. Now, that starts at a strength of 7, and I have a 5, and I don't see Jack McPumpkins wading into melee too much, so that's not really...
I don't think so.
Not really important for me. All right. Step 6 is I choose my equipment. Now, my equipment is going to be based off of my origins. So this starts on page 76 of the core rulebook, and I'm going to scroll through until I get to Wastelander. Because characters who select either the Ghoul or Survivor origins may select one of the following equipment packs. Yeah, so you've got different packs: Mercenary, Raider, or Settler. He's probably a mercenary, so I'd pick the Mercenary pack. That would give me tough clothing, leather armor, a melee weapon, a ranged weapon, ammunition, a note advertising a job in a nearby settlement, and some caps. So I'm not going to go through all that, but that allows me to pick there. Depending on my tag skills, I get additional items. So because I tagged Barter, I get 2d20 additional caps. Because I tagged Pilot, I get broken car parts equivalent to 5 common scrap. I tagged Small Guns, so I get 6 plus 3 combat dice of additional shots of an ammo I already possess. And because I tagged Survival, I get 2 purified water and 1 iguana on a stick. And that right there is Jack McPumpkins. I haven't added all the weapons and equipment and all that stuff, but we have created Jack McPumpkins, beloved NPC from the Rad Rolls universe.
And boy, is he beautiful. Beautiful Jack McPumpkins out there pumpkining around.